Folks, pals. He's starting in about 10 minutes. So start making your way, or like 5 to 10, so start making your way to seats. There's still a little bit of food left if you'd like some. But yeah, thanks. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Hi, hi, hi. Welcome to Far Out 2026. We are your hosts. I'm Jess, and this is
Peter.
Yay! Yay! We're so glad that all of you guys could make it out here. We know the journey's been really long for some of you and less long for others. So without further ado, let us begin our little opening thing. First of all, we'd really like to thank our sponsors and our partners. So the Friends of Amateur Rocketry for putting this on, and Mojave Air and Spaceport for this wonderful facility and a lot of help with the logistics overall. With Impulse, WM, Muon, Vast, Contrail, SpaceX at the very last minute, and also Scaled for helping us with tours as well. So go them. We also would like to thank all of the volunteers. It is completely, up to them to be able to travel out here and take time out of their days, weeks, months, years to help review your stuff, assist with logistics, and really help with putting this entire competition together. So give a hand for them. Yeah. And then, yeah, go you guys. And then, thank you to all of you, of which there are many. We have here 12 teams from 3 countries. So go you guys. Again, so many. Yay! Wonderful. We have grown from year to year quite a bit. This is for us really, really exciting to see the growth. We hope that you guys, keep coming back, that you enjoy. At the end of the competition, we will be sending out a feedback form if there's anything that you feel like we have done especially well or that we could do better. Please let us know, because this is a big thing to put on year to year, and we want to make it, well, officially a thing. So we're glad it's the 3rd year, and thank you for being here. So, the day. We're going to have the safety briefing at 9:45. It is mandatory for all present Rocketeers. After the safety briefing, point of contact, stick around for what?
You guys have your team leads and your points of contact, and in every single virtual flight readiness review, we explain the difference. We want your points of contact to come up to the stage after the safety briefing, and we're going to go over a few things for the individual teams and what to expect and how to, how should we say, maneuver around the issues of conflicting with teams.
Yep. There's a lot of us here, and we'll talk about it definitely a lot more. But there's a lot of people from a lot of different places. And I've said this a lot of times, and I will continue to say it. You have to be respectful of other people. There's going to be, cultural differences, just general lifestyle differences and things. It's stressful. It's hot. You have no sleep already, or maybe a little bit of sleep if you're lucky. So again, be cautious, be kind to yourself and to other people. Okay, we'll talk about it more. Tour block 1 is at 10:30. For those who are on tours, your team lead should have gotten an email with the list of all the people on those tours. You should bring your identification, and then we'll probably have to carpool for some of these tours. So just be aware. We will be gathering for tours at the registration area to leave. So we'll sort you into groups, and then you'll be on your merry ways. They're all at different places around the spaceport. We'll also have lunch at 12 p.m. It will be pizza. It will be great, and it will be good for vegetarians, not for the one vegan who's here. There's one vegan. I'm really sorry. I don't know what to do with you, man. I apologize. Yeah, sorry about that one. At 1 p.m., we have a panel for manufacturing for space. We have a couple of engineers from SpaceX, Muon, and Boeing. And we'll be just talking about what are the things you need to think about when it comes to designing for space. How is it different from any environment on the ground? What are some special considerations? So stick around for that. For those on the live stream, that will not be recorded. For Tour Block 2, same deal. Check with your team leads. And there's a recovery briefing that is mandatory for all people on the recovery team, where we'll be talking about many things. Podium presentations, we have two of them from Utah Valley University and from Wrocław. So stick around for those. And then at 4:15 p.m., we want a lovely group photo where we can have all of your smiling, wonderful faces that aren't tired. Or a little tired, it's okay. General guidelines, you have badges, wear them at all times, please. We don't have wristbands this year, I don't know why I have that. But yeah, wear them at all times. We need to know who you are. It's really, really, really important. We've had a lot of problems with this in previous years. When you're at the site, anytime that somebody who has a volunteer shirt or a blue lanyard asks to see your badge, you should be able to show it. Be respectful, be respectful, be respectful. This is stressful. This is stressful for me. This is stressful for you. This is stressful for us. So consider that. Follow all of our guidelines, of which there will be many. Drink water and wear sun protection. Look out for snakes and other things. But we'll talk about that a lot more later. Any other parting words?
Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Have fun. Learn something.
Yep. And with that being said, we shall hear a little bit from our hosts here at the Mojave Air and Spaceport. We have David Smith and Ariel Sewell, who are CEO and Director of Operations.
All right, welcome to Mojave Air and Spaceport. I'm Dave Smith, Dr. Dave Smith. My go-by is Jester. You can call me Jester. I live by that. I've come with about 43 years of aviation experience from the United States Air Force. I flew a little aircraft called B-52s. And our interface with rocketry on the B-52 is back in the day we launched a system called the SRAM, the Short Range Attack Missile, which would go suborbital before striking its targets. This was in the days of what we called the SIOP, the Single Integrated Operational Plan, which is a bunch of words that meant big war, nuclear conflict. And fortunately, much of that is behind us as we move forward to a collaborative environment like this and a collaborative environment at Mojave. And yes, it's called a competition, but I really see this as a collaboration because teams are going to learn and grow from each other, or they're going to do that just internally. And we do that every day, and Ariel will talk more about this in the operations here at Mojave. Being that we are somewhat resource limited, when it comes to operating an enterprise with 60 mission partners, 3,000 living wage employees, 6 different runways, and a staff of about 50, we have to be in partnership every day. So I welcome you to consider that as well. So Mojave has a couple of kind of themes we live by. Our motto is simply permission granted. You want to get it done, you can get it done at Mojave. Permission granted, we're going to figure out how to get to yes and do it safely and effectively. The other thing that we believe very deeply is innovation flies here. You know, if you look at my friends and my years of service in the United States Air Force, and I was in the test flight world and an acquisition officer, if we produced a weapon system in 2 decades, that was really good. We do that here in under a year. That is better. So it's amazing what we're doing, and when I look at what you're doing, I am just humbled to be a tiny part of that. Because, you know, I'm probably preaching to the choir on this, but 10 years ago, and this is United States data, not global data, but it does represent across the world. 10 years ago, if we did 10 launches in the United States, that was a big year. We're doing 200 this year. Next year, well, the year thereafter, 2027, is already progged for 400 launches in the US. The belief down at Space Symposium is that Moore's Law will apply, and 2 years later we'll be at 800, and 2 years later we'll be at 1600. I was with the commander of Vandenberg Space Force Base last week at the Governor's Military Council in Sacramento. He is under direction from the Space Force to figure out how to get Vandenberg to be able to do 3 to 5 launches a day. This is an amazing increase that, frankly, I don't know how we can absorb that capability. I will tell you this, Mojave just might be a little part of that with the huge homework assignment I've given to Ariel, which is to figure out how to get us approved for vertical launch at Mojave. So this is a huge adventure we're on. I am so honored to be able to be, in a small way, your host, because you're the people absolutely doing the work. So I do have a question for all of you. Do any of the teams have like a chant or a cheer or a thing they do? Who? Yeah, let's hear it. I love it. Okay, who can beat that? Anybody else? Far too shy. I'm guessing there's engineers in the room. Yeah. All right. Hey, welcome to Mojave. Thank you so much for being here. Be safe, be effective, have fun, and kick a little butt along the way. All right, here's Ariel. She really knows her stuff.
Where's Poland? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind. Let me ask an easier question. Where's my vegan? I got you for lunch. We'll get you taken care of. You come find me. All right, so welcome to Mojave Air and Spaceport. That was my boss, David. Usually it takes up much more time, so I can usually just kind of squeeze in here. My job is I run a spaceport, which is sometimes the most surreal sentence I have ever said. I have been in and out of aviation my entire life, going on 40 years now. In some propensity, I have been in aviation, but I've been in spaceports for 3 years. And my biggest thing right now that I have really been, I guess, pushing out there, and this has been a really big divergence from typical aviation, is the allowing ourselves to be able to try to push the limits. Who's here to play safe today? Not like, no, put your hand up. Not like, be safe. Obviously be safe. Like, we all want to go home preferably intact, but to play it safe. And when I say play it safe is not push the limits, not get to what that next stage is. And just in my short time here, in the 3 years that I have been at Mojave Air and Spaceport at Rutan Field, we have continued to push the limit. And when I look at you guys, that is what I see. I see, what are those boundaries? Why are we allowing them to be boundaries? I think I even put it in my LinkedIn profile. You say it's impossible, I say it's plausible. And so that is what we want to do here. And this is what I really expect to see out of you guys, not just for this competition, but seeing you in your futures. Who here is excited to meet somebody from Mojave Air and Spaceport? Somebody or a company in particular? Who? Hi, I'm Ariel. Nice to meet you. What's your name? Okay, that guy's goal is completed for the day. Who else wants to meet? No, I'm just kidding. But the company's here. So there's about 14 spaceports. I'm going to put you on the spot because you're sitting right in front of me, and my contacts are not working today. What is the difference between horizontal launch and vertical launch as it comes in terms of what you're doing here today? You'll be doing vertical launches? Vertical, awesome. So it's really interesting. Everybody continues to say, as my boss continues to say, the future is vertical, but the past is also vertical. So I like to see those people who are creative, who are out there looking to see what can we do to change that perspective? What can we do to reevaluate how we did things in, we'll say, the 60s or the 70s? Oh, I thought I saw a question over there. Nope, that was just a head scratch. I'll just ignore you over there. But going back to what I was saying, to pushing the limits, to finding what it is that we can do. I remember one time we had a test site. So we have 20 test sites here at Mojave here in Spaceport. My job is chaos coordinator. I ensure that they can push those limits, and if they fail, which happens quite frequently, everybody goes home safe at the end of the day. So I'm at Starbucks, as I usually am, meeting with Stratolaunch, and all of a sudden I hear an explosion. I feel the explosion almost knocks me out of my chair. And I was like, that sounds like it's my problem. Gotta go back to work. So I head back to work, and sure enough, one of our test sites, they were testing a cold flow, of all things, and made a crater of my test site. And so I pull them aside to do our debrief, and I say, hey guys, what happened? And they go, well, we tried something new. Didn't work. And I was like, I see that. All right, briefing over. Let's go home. But that is what we do here at Mojave. And that is what I really expect from you guys, is to obviously do it safely. Please do not make a crater of my airport or of the Cohen Rocketry facility. However, is find what those limits are and ask, why is it a limit? Because that is what we do at Mojave. Limits are not rules, they are questions. Does anybody have, I'm trying to be conscientious of time, so I'm gonna do a quick Q&A. Does anybody have any questions of what it is to be a spaceport, to work in a spaceport? Please, somebody. I'm gonna start picking on people. I'm gonna pick on you, you're right there. Yeah, here. So that's a really good question. What is too much for me as the airport? 30,000 pounds of net equivalent weight of TNT. Legally, that is the limit. That is a big hole. But what we do as far as limitations, when we have our propellants, our oxidizers, and what those combinations are, what do we look at in those equivalent weights and what they would be in TNT? We work in QDs. Does everybody know what a QD is? Please, somebody know what a QD is? Hey, quantity distance. I'm going to pretend the youngest person in the room said, no, I'm just kidding. Quantity distance, right. And so what does a quantity distance mean? Nobody. All right, that is your hazard radius. So in Mojave, we work on 1,250 foot, about a quarter mile. I do apologize to everybody who's doing that conversion in their head right now. I cannot provide that information for you. Google exists. But quantity distances. What is the safe setback distance that we can do these? And I work in multiple. So I work in your big QD, right? If something were to go wrong, what keeps people safe? Then I work in intraline building distances. Say I have a tank of liquid oxygen, and then my test site goes, and I have a defragmentation, and it punctures that tank of liquid oxygen. Now I have two big problems. And then that decides to cascade and start a fire. Now I have three big problems. And I'm in Southern California, which really likes to be on fire. Now I have four big problems. So what we do is we work in boundaries within these sites. And I work together with Lynn. She's hiding back there. Everybody say hi to Lynn. Hi, Lynn. Yeah, she's trying to be shy. So I work with Lynn to set these sites in a specific orientation so that in the event that someone is testing and they want to try something new and it does not go well, they are only affecting their site. They are not affecting people. They are not affecting property. And they are not affecting public. That is another big one, our public. I have another really hard question. What is at airports? What is at airports? Why are airports? Airplanes, yes. So when I think, say I am the exploding site, what's your name? My chick is right here, and I want to make sure that he is safe. I also have to work on airplanes. So when we say vertical launch, one of the things we have to worry about is airplanes, what is above us. Fortunately, here at Mojave, we have a very restrictive airspace, so we have a little bit more command and control of what flies above us, so we ensure that when Machik and his team are not going up, did I say it right? You're laughing at me. Okay, good. Sorry. That we are not taking out a commercial airliner. That would probably not be good. So we are also working in up. So when you're asked what my limitations are, very biggest limitation is what's your imagination. What are those limits? What can you design? What can you build? And then you bring that to me, and I say, where can I put it in a way that is safe? What are my horizontal limitations? What are my building limitations? What are my people limitations? What are the things that, Virgin Galactic, I'm going to name drop them here because they don't test as much anymore. They had a limitation because they set a quarter mile of my airport on fire. So they have a little bit more limitation in which they have to clear weeds. And then I also have to worry about what's above us. So we're going back to our horizontal and our vertical launch applications. So when we put a vehicle like Talon hypersonic vehicle or Pegasus rocket or the Launcher 1 rocket when it was here, when we put that to the airplane, we have all those limitations, and now you strap it to the bottom of an airplane and you send it down the runway at about 161 miles per hour. Now we have to work on those limitations. How do we keep that safe? So those are the things that your spaceport does when you can focus on the rocket. These are the things we're thinking about and we're moving and we're coordinating for you. Does anybody else have any spaceport questions? I think I have a couple more minutes. Yes. So my boss is really encouraging us to go vertical. So that is a big goal. Vertical is hard. And I know you can look outside and see the bustling metropolis that is Mojave, California. There's lots of humans out there. There's actually too many for a vertical launch spaceport. Unless we have very specific azimuths, very specific trajectories, and very specific orbital inclinations that we take off from. So with that, I cannot just design a pad and say, I would like to do vertical here. No, I need the vehicle to be able to do that. And so I remember when I first brought this up, it was about 2 years ago, brought it up to the FAA and they said, you need a single stage to orbit. I was like, so I'm not getting that license is what you're telling me. But we actually found a vehicle. I can't tell you anything about it, but we have found a vehicle that we are partnering with to be able to go forward. So that is one of our big one. The other thing is we have a really big runway. So we're trying to reutilize the tenants that are already here to be able to bring them onto our runway to move more towards those horizontal launch capabilities. If I can strap something to the bottom of a plane and send it out, I get around those vertical challenges that we're dealing with. And the other thing is I have a lot of land, and with Lynn's help, hi Lynn. So Lynn does our leasing. We are looking to bring in more organizations, either building new aircraft, building new types of vehicles or articles or payloads, or maintenance facilities. NASA has expressed interest in coming out to Mojave, so some of their aircraft, things like that. So we're looking to develop that land and then also see what we can do to go vertical. And the other thing I need to do is expand out my test sites. I have too many people on a list that want to test here that I cannot because of the limitations that we had mentioned earlier. I cannot allow them to come in right now unless somebody leaves. And even then, it's a lot of math. Any other questions, spaceport questions?
There's a lot of folks, like a lot of interesting entities around Mojave Air and Spaceport, like Edwards Air Force Base, China Lake, and Armstrong, I think. So, how often do you interface with these organizations?
So this is called Antelope Valley. We call it the Aerospace Valley. As was just mentioned, we have China Lake, which is Ridgecrest, about an hour north of us. We have Edwards Air Force Base, NASA Armstrong, Plant 42. We don't really play with Plant 42 a lot. They do their own thing. But we are constantly working and training with these other organizations, a lot of military. They like to come here for fuel, for example, and they like to come train their military jets here. I have a theory that's because the fuels guys give them Snickers bars, but they love to come out here and train. We have a really great airspace for them to train in, and we have been working more with NASA Armstrong on their fixed-wing aircraft to be able to bring them to Mojave and do more of that. I actually have the International Test Pilot School is here today, training at Mojave. So we do a lot of interfacing for their fixed-wing aircraft, and we are starting to work more on the space elements. Any other questions? I have 4 minutes. One more. Yes. So Mojave Air and Spaceport is about 3,100 acres. About 100 of those acres are not incorporated. We've been slowly starting to buy land to develop, to expand out. It is very expensive. Buying the land itself is not that expensive. It's beautiful real estate. Just loads of tumbleweeds and rattlesnakes. But incorporating them into an airport environment is actually pretty challenging. And it's really, really fun. Once I buy a piece of land and I pay the money and I get the environmental and I make sure there's no, what's our big one, Lynn? Desert tortoises? Desert tortoise, endangered species here that are going to be affected negatively. And get it into the ALP, I can never use that land for anything but aeronautical use ever again. It is now incorporated into aeronautical use. I made the same face when I learned that the first time. The airport itself, we have been growing in purchasing land, but we have not yet incorporated it. I have a feeling that will change over the next few years as we start to develop land. As we go vertical, obviously, I'm going to need a big footprint for a launch pad. So we're working on what that looks like. The other thing that we're subject to is we have to wait for something to come up on auction to be able to buy it. And then because we are a government agency, we're very limited in how much we can spend. So that's also, and then we get the one guy, he's like, I want $1 million for this acre of tumbleweeds. We're like, no, we don't want to pay that though. So that's about how much we've grown physically. As far as tenants or mission partners here at Mojave, within the last 5, we've had Vast Space. They've been a big one. They've had 4 test sites and a hangar here. Impulse Space has been another 4 test sites. We had Evolution In and Out. Who am I forgetting? We had Boom Supersonic was here for a while. We had Merlin Labs was in and out for a while. We've had a few. Merlin? Yep, Merlin was here. I'm trying to get Reliable in. Right? So if you see in the Reliable Robotics hanging around, you should tell them how great Mojave Air and Spaceport is. All right, I've got time for one more question. Does anybody else have any? One in the very back. So we're very SMS focused, safety management system focused, which is a very non-punitive, non-fault approach to safety here. And it's really like, hey, what happened? And then what could we do to respond to it better? So and this is, like I said, this is if you get into a commercial airport and you say one of these planes is gonna crash, everybody's gonna lose their mind, right? They're like, no, you can't say those words. Here at Mojave, we accept the possibility that one of these days, one of these tests is going to go wrong. It's new technology, it's new, sometimes composites, new materials, new fuels. We go in knowing that there is the potential for it to go wrong. So when we go in, we really evaluate on our side as a spaceport is how do we respond and how do we better protect our people and how do we better protect our property? You know, did all of our responses work in a way that our people went home safe and nobody's losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment? So that is how we evaluate. Then our systems engineers or our rocket engineers, the people that are working on that system, they go through a separate evaluation process to see where that pinpoint failure is. And then they go through and try to work, you know, whatever the failure was, how do they mitigate that risk? How do they improve that system to be able to prevent that from occurring again? Okay, so I am right at my time. Where's my vegan guy again? I saw you, there he is, he's hiding. I will find food for you, sir. And then if anybody has any other questions, please feel free to ask anybody here at Mojave. We are open book. We want to be able to share and to learn. Just don't ask about Northrop, they get weird about it. All right, thank you everybody.
And thank you, Ariel. I hope you all have learned something amazing and wonderful about this spaceport. It is truly a unique place. This is like, there's a lot of really smart people working here day in and day out, so definitely ask questions. Ask questions of Lynn, who's over there too, who will be sticking around for a good, few days of this competition. But yeah, you have 15 minutes, and then we will have the safety briefing right here. So yeah, thank you all.